Okay. Right. There's nobody on at the moment, so I'm just going to give it some time for people to jump on. Straighten my t-shirt up. Anybody? Hello, Alison. Lovely for you to join us. That's one person. 3 people. Good afternoon. Welcome to Kickback Recovery. Just give it a bit of time. How hot is it? So we've got Sharon. Hello, Sharon. Alison. Hello. Michelle Binny Drabo. We've been missing you, Michelle. We've got Kickback itself watching us. Hi. People in the office. It's good stuff. Right, 7 people. Come on, guys. We need to get a few more. If you want to share this, like it, invite people. We're trying to... What's this all about? So Kickback Recovery. We're well into our 4th week now. We're going live. This is like educating people around addiction, recovery. Kathleen Bess. You made my day, Kathleen. Thank you. Lots of hugs back. Mark. Hello, Mark. Sue. JG. Hi. Yeah, so if people have been watching, we're 4 weeks into this. So my name's Mick. I work at Kickback Recovery. I'm a grateful recovering addict. Recovering recovered. You know, I'm kind of... I'd say I'm kind of recovered around the drug stuff, but addiction... You know, I'm working on that daily. I'm not, you know, I'm not picking drinks up. I'm not picking drugs up. I do pick other things up, and that could be food. It could be other things, people, places, things. You know what I mean? I've got to be vigilant. I've got to be working a program daily, and that's what I have to do. I have to arrest this illness, this disease, on a daily basis, and I do it through services Kickback. I do it through regular recovery meetings, and I'm really enjoying my recovery. Coming to 6 years without using drink or drugs to change the way I feel. And I'm proud of that. So 4 weeks in now, so I need lots of people liking this. You know, we're not coming from a place of begging, but we do need people to pay an interest in this. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. Set a registered charity up that's based in Sheffield, supporting people with addiction problems, alcohol problems, dual diagnosis and their affected family members. Daryl, hello. Gillet, hi Gillet, and we do that through a program of connection. We're not a 12-step fellowship. We're not a religious group. God is mentioned quite a lot at our Zoom meetings and in-person meetings. The 12 steps are really, I've got stuff here now. I've got 12 NA step working guide. I'll have the basic text somewhere, a big book, you know. I'm at home. I am isolating. That's what I'm doing. I'm isolating. That's why there won't be any recovery education at 5:30. We've had to cancel that due to isolation, having to quarantine. So we're going. What the plan is, this live one now. Then we will be doing a Kickback Zoom meeting at 5:30 tonight. Sally's going to put all the details on all our activities, what we do, Zoom meetings, in-person meetings. Everybody can get involved, you know, from all over the world, like people do at our Zoom meetings, our educational stuff. But we're just changing it just for this week, so it will be, like I said, this 1 hour kind of talking about whatever we're going to be talking about. No idea as yet. And then tonight, 5:30, Zoom meeting. Sally's putting all ID number on. And then we're going to do a Zoom meeting tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock to take place of what we should have done with the education stuff. But obviously we're isolating. And we're going to do, what are we going to do in the morning? We're going to do a live recovery hour type of thing in the morning.
We are at 10 a.m. but
10
I've just put it all in a comment. So all the
right, so if you keep looking at comments, our good friend Sally Reedman will keep putting stuff in. Leaf Wakes, lovely to see you lately, as he's known. Right, guys, what we're going to be talking about. You know, I'm just going to touch on, for the last 4 weeks, we've talked about addiction. I've shared some of my story. I've become vulnerable. There'll be people who've learned stuff about me that didn't know that. There'll be people who knew that anyway. Like I said, I've become vulnerable. Kickback, why are we doing these lives? We're doing these lives to raise awareness around addiction, recovery, mental health. I know other groups do it, and good luck to them. But at Kickback, we are a registered charity. We're coming up to 5 years in the making in November. We celebrate recovery at Kickback. We're not anonymous. Kickback Recovery is all about celebrating recovery, making recovery visible, banging a recovery drum, showing, you know what I mean? We can talk about recovery and talk about how well we're doing until we're blue in the face. It's about showing people, showing it, living it, you know, not, you know, walking the walk, living a life in recovery, a good life, that is. You know, showing people that recovery is possible, and that's what we do at Kickback. And we do it through a program of connection. We also work on spiritual principles, but it's all about connection. We connect back into the community, leaving the isolation of active addiction behind. And at Kickback, kind of what we always mention is please respect that everybody's recovery is different. Be mindful of other people's recovery. You know, your recovery journey is yours. It's personal to you. You know, don't worry about what the next man's doing. You look after yourself. So also be mindful that whatever drugs you've used, whatever drugs you haven't used, you know, our amounts, are big or are little, that we're all equal. Nobody's better than, nobody's less than. Anybody watching now, you're not better than the next man or the next lady. We're all equal whenever we come to a group, when we get involved with Kickback, and that's what it's all about. We come from a place of love. We love each other well. We get people well. We carry that message of recovery in all we do, and that's what we're doing tonight. Chris Evans, hello. If people do come up and my eyes aren't that bad, well, they are quite bad to be honest. And I miss you, Claire Thompson. Good afternoon. Vivian Varney, good afternoon. If you'd like to put a little comment where you are in the world, because we are worldwide, we've got coming up to 23,000 followers, and that's what we're trying to do. We're a couple of hundred or 300 people away from having 23,000 followers. If you can please invite people to like this page, to follow us, you know, people who are interested in recovery, who want to get an understanding. Louise Cooper, hello, you know, and just help us, you know, in our cause of what we're doing. So, right, Lorraine Warnsby, good afternoon. So, right, what we're going to talk about. So, right, I'm going to touch on, there's not many things we can talk about. And this is all winging it. There's no paperwork, there's no bullet points. It's just truly winging it. Let's talk about when we got to that point, and when we at Kickback, we talk about, we drink and alcohol, drugs. But, you know, it's food. We class food as a drug. You know, sometimes people come to our recovery groups because they're getting over relationships. So the person they're getting over, at some point, you know, when it was toxic, we can consider them as a drug as well. People get addicted to people, don't they? You know, love. You know, people get addicted to toxic relationships and chaos and all sorts. Addiction shows its ways in lots of forms. And that's what Kickback's about. We're quite vast on the people we support. People come to Kickback, you know, they want to put the drink and the drugs down, which they do. But then life, for all of us, is throwing events at us and challenges. And Kickback then is a safe place where they come and they've got that community and connection. And they help support each other getting through life's challenges. Those same fellowships, don't they? Living a life on life's terms. And that's what we do at Kickback, yeah. So just touching on, right, when we come to the point where, am I an addict? Am I not an addict? You know, what is addiction? What is addiction? You know, I'm using drugs. For me, I used for many years, for over 3 decades. Got away with a lot of using, you know, recreational using, experimental, trying this, trying that. Went for all the 90s, grafting in clubs, bars, you know, just having, you know, going out dancing, trying different drugs, you know, with my girlfriends and friends and you know, did I have a problem? I don't know, really. I know I like to use every Friday and Saturday night, whether it were pills or whatever it was. You know, but did I have an actual problem? Well, I went to work, whatever work that were, whatever a class work has in them days. You know, we're out grafting, working, putting deals together, doing quite well. You know, I was sharing, you know, I was obsessed with more, bigger things. But when I an addict, I don't know. I weren't really bothered, to be honest. I was at an age where I didn't give a shit whether I didn't need to understand it, because my life was manageable. I was functioning. I was enjoying whatever I was doing and getting through it. And then, for me, I got introduced to a Class A substance, which is, there's a lot of people out there, aren't there? You know, I'm talking to people all the time that are powerless. You know, when cocaine comes into the game, they're powerless. You know, that they lose the choice. And I think that kind of happened, well, it did happen for me. You know, I lost my choice whether, and it happened over time. It didn't happen overnight, it happened over time. You know, let's call it an illness, is progressive. You know, it just didn't happen overnight. I didn't just try something and then I was fully addicted to it, you know. It didn't happen like that for me. It was just, I tried it, I liked it, it were a bit different, it were really strong, the quality were good. I made sure I hung around with the right people who could get it at the right price, you know, the big amounts. And I did have a choice because I was using it, and when I was coming through well over on life. Anyway, so when the crack, I got introduced to crack. I used to smoke it after a nightclub, go to somebody's house. I'd have a bit of this, you know, a bit more, and I'd always make sure I left some. I'd leave that, and because I was in control, or at least I thought I was. I could leave a little bit of stone, a little bit of rock with somebody and say, you finish that off. And I felt empowered by that. But that didn't last for long. That went from living like that to into like 3-4 months into it, to crawling around on my hands and knees, looking for bits of out that were white on floorboards, bits of breadcrumbs, bits of plastic, whatever, putting it on a pipe, smoking it, and just hoping that I get some hit out of it. And it went through the same with the cocaine, buying it in bags, like scraping all the bags out. Sometimes there were freezer bags, they were big bags. I'd been at it for days, and that I'd still be scraping it. I'd still looking for bits that might have fell off, my cabinet or whatever. And I'm sure we've all experienced stuff like that. But the time when we're coming to that, where one day I woke up and I'd lost the choice of using. I didn't have a choice anymore. That did happen. I used to get the kind of obsession, today I want to use, and I couldn't get that obsession out of my head, and that would manifest, and I just have to, it had gone, I just had to use. And that caused lots of problems in my life, and we talk about unmanageability, where my life did become unmanageable. I didn't have a choice anymore. I got a problem. I remember using drugs on Wednesday afternoons and having a little party for ones, I used to call them, slying off from whatever we're doing, sometimes making out with poorly so I could have a session, or I had an appointment or whatever. And I remember once, I just share this, I remember once bent over, just about to stick a line up my nose, and thinking to myself, you've got a problem here, lad. I lived in a nice apartment, a penthouse apartment, in a nice place in Sheffield. We shared swimming pool and squash court and sauna and stuff like that. I thought, and I'd done well. But I remember thinking, have I done that well? It's a Wednesday afternoon, curtains are shut, like this, the sun's shining. I'm isolating myself, and I'm thinking to myself, I've got a problem here. You've got a problem. And I just said to myself, yeah, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And I remember when I were in my rehabs, and I remember where I'm living now, where I am now, I built this house coming to about 19 years ago, but I were heavily involved with cocaine then. And even how I built this house, it were all I got when I was sat down with an architect, and I was sat down with builders, and I was doing it, labouring, and it were all really about using. It was going to be a place to use. Hiya John Alexander, Yvette, hiya Sally Dudley, hiya. It was just everything were all about using. Business, making money, the people around me, all the conversations I had with friends was all about drug using. And just sharing stories about, whoa, we're on top of the night, this happened, I was just full of psychosis and the things I was experiencing and paranoia. I'd locked myself in rooms, barricaded myself in rooms. I ended up building an house, at the time, which were lovely. Still is, but it were all based around everything I'd worked for when I was younger, all this ambition, and I'll say it again, what I thought were ambition, when I look back, when I learned about what addiction is, it was all about addiction, not the ambition. I thought I was ambitious. I was just addicted to bigger things, more things, people, places, things, women, cars, watches, and when the drugs come in, these drugs give me these feelings, and it filled that void temporarily. I'm a deluded way of thinking that I thought this were it, class A substances, this is it, come to light. I've shared before that life in Sheffield city centre, using nice places, wearing nice clothes, all about these materialistic stuff and hanging around with certain people, climbing that social ladder. When I look back, it was just a load of crap. I hope I didn't upset any friends. I make some lovely friends and good friends along the way. But when I look back, it were all rubbish. The life I've got today is a good life. I don't use drugs today. Like I'll say, it's coming up to 6 years I ain't used, I don't want to use, and I've got a good life. Is there any questions with anybody who's listening? We're just winging this, we're just putting it together just to get through this isolation stuff. Sally, anything?
We haven't had any questions so far. We've got Chris on, who's 18 days clean.
Well done,
today.
Chris.
Anne and Sharon are both watching from Sheffield. Denise in Huddersfield, Gilly in Chesterfield, Louise in Horncastle, and Kathleen over in Canada. Yeah, hello to everybody. Yeah. So if there is anybody who wants to comment what's happening in their life today, where they're at, and just wants to talk through a few things, please feel free to leave a comment. If you want to invite other people who might want to listen to whatever we're speaking on, yeah, please do that. So 22 people watching, thank you.
So yeah, so we're just talking about today. It's totally different. Don't want to use. Heavily involved in recovery. Passionate about recovery. It's about changing everything. You know, and that's what I had to do. You know, so going back to what we were just touching on. You know, like when did I think that? Wow, I am addicted to whatever, and I've got to do something about it. And that were when I lost the choice. You know, my life become unmanageable. I didn't have a choice anymore. I had to use. I might get 2 or 3 days without using. You know, but when I use in big amounts and binging, it'd go on for weeks. Then it would rest time to recuperate, get myself right to go and use again. Yeah, and that's what kind of happened for me. Any questions? Alison Crowder. Yeah, so I do want to apologise to everybody that there won't be an in-person meeting tonight, you know, due to COVID stuff and isolation, and there won't be one tomorrow at the Circle. There won't be any meetings. So what we're going to do, we've got a Zoom meeting tonight at 5:30, and we've got a Zoom meeting at 2:30 tomorrow, and we've got a live again tomorrow at 10 a.m. So, all right, any questions? No, everybody's quiet, aren't they? So we talk about powerlessness. Yeah, I became powerless over my addiction. The same fellowship stuff, powerless over my addiction, and my life became unmanageable. And I have just got a little reading that I'm going to borrow, if that's all right, it's an NA, Narcotics Anonymous working guide. It's just at the side of me. And this is just some stuff, because I do some work with other people, recovering buddy and stuff. So he talks about powerlessness, and I'm going to read it out, if that's all right. I have quoted where it's from. This is not kickback recovery literature. I'm not a representative of any 12-step organisation. It's not an organisation or anything to do with any 12-step stuff. But I'm going to read this out for powerlessness. So if you just want to listen to this. As addicts, we react to the word powerless in a variety of ways. Some of us recognise that a more accurate description of our situation simply could not exist, and admit our powerlessness with a sense of relief. Others recoil at the word, connecting it with weakness or believing it to indicate some kind of character deficiency. Understanding powerlessness and how admitting our own powerlessness is essential to our recovery. It will help us to get over any negative feelings we may have about the concept. We are powerless when the driving force in our life is beyond our control. So that could be all sorts, couldn't it? We talked about we are powerless when the driving force in our life is out of control. That could be drugs, drink. That could be other people as well. You know, when we become codependent on other people, when we get into these toxic relationships that some of us crave and can't get out of and try, we become powerless. We keep going back for a bit more. You know, it's what we do. In a way, it's like kind of self-harming, which is drug using is. So yeah, so our addiction certainly qualifies as such an uncontrollable driving force. We cannot moderate or control our drug use or other compulsive behaviours. That compulsion for drugs, drink, people, you know, that compulsion, I must go and see that person. Well, they're not healthy for us, really. They're not going to be that nice to us, but I still need to go and see that person. The relationship's not that good for you. I've experienced a lot of that, but I'm still drawn to stuff that's not good for me. You know, it could be anything. Any questions, Sally?
Yeah, we've got a question from Sharon. Sharon says, once you've realised that you are an addict and you accept it, where is best to start? Where do you go from here? Sharon personally has never had any rehab or detox or sponsors. She's just had scripts. Right.
Is that our lovely friend who joined us yesterday?
It is, yes.
Hi, Sharon. Good to have you on board yesterday. So that's the first thing, isn't it? Accepting that you have got a problem. Accepting that you have got an addiction. You are an addict. You know, that's kind of step one. And then doing something about it, yeah? So I think it was great what you did yesterday. You become brave. You joined one of our meetings. You got involved. You asked a question. We stopped the meeting. We fed back to you, Sharon, and it were a bit to the bone. It were a bit harsh. I know what I shared back. I was worried that it was going to upset you, but obviously it hasn't. And I hope you got a lot out of that, yeah? But you definitely need to come back to tonight's 5:30 Zoom meeting so we can carry on with what we were doing before, yeah? Anybody else?
No questions as of yet. It's just lots of people checking in, watching, and saying hi.
Right. Hi, everyone. Well, my name's Vic. I work at Kickback Recovery. It's a registered charity based in Sheffield, supporting people with addiction problems, alcohol, dual diagnosis and their affected family members, and we do that through a program of connection and spiritual principles. We connect back into the community. That's what people are doing now. Anybody who's involved with this at the moment, you're connecting. It's about, you're not sat, you know what I mean? You've took some time out, you've had a little look, you might be a bit nosy, you're having a look, hopefully you're going to hear something, you know, like, but if you don't, if there's something that don't strike you now, maybe tomorrow's live, you will, you know, there'll be something there. This is all about education for us. This is not a proper teaching. This is not one of our PowerPoint stuff. We're winging this, we just put it together. We want to get noticed by Facebook, so we're doing these live kind of hours every now and then that will build up and viewings, and then over time hopefully we can get a donate button, so people can donate into our charity bank account or give us a few stars. Not that we're begging for that, but we are a charity that has to, we survive on a shoestring, you know what I mean? We're really putting it all out there, but there's not a lot of money in our bank account, and we need, I've brought it as far as I can bring it on my own. Excuse me, I need other people to get involved and help me out, yeah? Sally.
Sharon's just fed back to you. She says that she doesn't like people tiptoeing around her, and she needs that honesty, and she needs to hold herself accountable. So thank you for yesterday. And Gilly's just asked, what is the best advice I can give to a friend whose family member is an alcoholic? My friend is hurting so much and she'd like to help.
Right. So obviously an affected family member.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always say, Gilly, get involved with us. Ask her to come and sit with us. She's qualified for let's call it a seat our in persons. You know, she's an affected family member. Get her on Zoom, Gilly, if you'd like to. I hope this don't put you out, but maybe I invite her around one evening for a coffee, or when we're doing a Zoom meeting, she can sit aside here. She then get an understanding of what we're talking about, addiction, alcoholism, and she can get an idea of what's going on for a loved one. And I say it all the time about this, you know, people who are struggling, they're unwell, you know, they're sick people, not bad people. You know, this is what Kickback's about. It's about breaking stigma. It's about putting it out there, which we're doing, you know, like showing that recovery is possible, but also talking about, you know, like it's an illness. It's not, these people aren't bad, they just become poorly and sick, but these people can get well. That's the good news. The good news is we're living examples of that, where people can get well. I'm sat here today, I'm a different person. You know, I've got no desire whatsoever to act out in any negative behaviours, using drugs or whatever, to get a little fix, get a little tickle, you know, to fix some feelings or change feelings. I don't have to do that today. You know, I've been talking to a good friend this morning who's going through quite a lot. You know, he's got about coming up to 6 months without drinking, you know, or using any other drugs. The guy's going through it, there's stuff happening. Obviously, I'm not going to say what's going on for him. But, you know, the guy's rung me up, and he's rung me up before he might have a little thought of, well, I could drink. What's happening for him? It is enough to pick up a drink to try and numb these feelings temporarily. But he's rung me instead. And it's like, wow, come on. He's doing the right thing. He's rung me up and said, listen, I need to talk to you. I need you to tell me what's going to happen if I pick a drink up. He knows what's going to happen anyway. His life's going to become a mess again. You know, he's not going to be able to come to meetings. He's not going to be able to connect. He's not going to be a good father. He's not going to be a good husband. He's not going to be a good friend to anybody. You know, he's not going to have much going on for him, you know, if he goes back to drinking the way he used to before. And this is the beauty of this Kickback stuff for everybody. If there is people out there sat on the fence thinking, what's he on about? I don't really understand. I get that. You know, you're not going to jump on here straight away. You're not going to get, I ain't got all the answers. Far from it. You know what I mean? I've got enough to keep my head afloat, you know, and get involved with this charity and help other people. But I ain't got all the answers. Who has? You know, Sally?
Gilly's just replied and said she's going to invite her to a Zoom meeting. Thank you. And Kathleen's just shared, my son TJ is 38 and it has been 23 years of him lost to his addiction. It often feels like this is just a long goodbye. He is nowhere near being ready to admit to a problem. Heck, he still denies that he's using. I am like a broken record telling him I will be there, encouraging him should he want help. But he refuses to do anything. I hope he receives the gift of desperation, as you have said. You and all the wonderful folk here are a bright light to me during these dark days when my son's behaviour becomes ugly. So thank you for all of your love and kindness and all your honesty. I wish you all continued peace and love. You give me hope, and hope is what keeps us all going.
Thank you, Kathleen. So Kathleen's a lovely friend of ours from over in Canada. Kickback's in the UK. It's how we've connected. it's just brilliant. That's the beauty of this social media stuff. It can be a nightmare for some people, but it can be for kickback at times. But the good stuff is we set, and which, Sally, have you put that on that? We've got a closed private members group called Kickback Recovery Members Group. It's a private group with 3,200 people worldwide, and we set that up, and we put some posts out there. Kathleen's connected to it. She likes what we're saying. Kathleen sent some lovely messages of encouragement for what we're doing. She puts her words together, as Sally's just read out. The way Kathleen writes and puts her words together is like, wow, that is some powerful stuff. Just one thing I want to say to we've been talking about TJ before. When I hear what you're saying, Kathleen, is that how blessed is he to have a mother like you, who loves him so much. A lot of people at Kickback haven't got that. Aren't blessed with that. Some people haven't got the parents still around. You never give up on him. You sent pictures of him when he's in hospital. It's just like beautiful. At times, it's quite envious. That for a few of us, that he's got a mum like you. Don't ever give up on him, because you never know when he's just going to turn around. Like say, the blessing of desperation. We've got to hit that rock bottom. We're going to talk about rock bottoms today, but Kathleen, that rock bottom after another rock bottom, how many rock bottoms can you have? And they just go on forever. You carry on using and drinking, and you think to yourself, I've got a rock bottom here, so I might as well carry on drinking. Within days, within hours, you've got a deeper rock bottom, and that has a basement. They say that every rock bottom has a basement, a cellar, which they do. Carry on using, you'll experience some right rock bottoms. I think that the last rock bottom is death, isn't it? You're going to die, and we don't want that for people. Sally, do you have a question?
Cheryl's just put, it's inspiring listening to you, Mick, and she's also an affected family member, like Kathleen, and she says the nightmare is never ending. And then we have got Sixella. She just wants to thank Kickback for all the support over the past week. Last week in particular really brought it home for her about the people she has around me. That was one of our teachings last week. This weekend will be the third weekend I've kept away from some should we say, toxic person in my life. For me, keeping connected via meetings, Zooms, lives and trips out has been the support I've needed when I was feeling very, very isolated. She's gutted the meetings cancelled tonight because she was really looking forward to seeing everybody, and she benefits so much from the group. She says, anybody out there that's slightly curious, just do it. It's the best decision she's made in a long time.
Yeah, and we're blessed to have you on board. Because we said this, you hear this in recovery, it's a two-way street. Even what I'm doing now, I'm thinking, before it come on, we're on in 5 minutes, what we're going to talk about. No idea what we're going to talk about today. Let's just, as we always do, we wing it. With the recovery education, we put a teaching, like a lesson plan together. I enjoy that, but this is just totally winging it. The lady who's just, I'm not going to mention her name again, who's just commented, she's been at the group probably 3 or 4 weeks. I've been enriched by that, by her attendance, by her getting involved, and you know what I mean, and it's good stuff. So anybody out there thinking, I'm a bit, because I remember when I first came into recovery and going to different meetings, my head told me, don't go there. My addiction don't want me getting well. It wants to kill me. He wants me on my own, isolating, doing all the madness and all the crazy things, shoving big amounts of drugs into my body. And not looking after myself. That's what addiction wants. The blessing of recovery, for me, having God in my life, having this power that helps me do something I can't do on my own. I'm blessed to have the relationship with something massive who looks after me, a father, a loving father. Some people might be saying, what? But this is where my recovery, I'm coming to 6 years, this is where I am in my recovery journey. I have invited God into my life, who blesses me every day with a good life and a life where I don't have to use drink or drugs. You know what I mean? If things become too powerful, for me, I get overwhelmed with anything, I can just hand it over. I can sit there and just hand it over. Take this from me, because I can't handle this. You know what I mean? And that's what happened, and that's where I am today. Sally?
Steve P. Coyle agreeing with you. He's saying admitting that you have a problem is where it starts, and for him, he thinks getting amongst nature is a good place to spend your recovery because it has healing powers. Yeah,
brilliant, Coyle. I'd like to get you on, Steve, when we progress with this, and a few other people as well. So this is early days for Kickback. Remember, we're building this relationship up with Facebook. We want to get some live hours on clock. where we can get other tools and stuff. But there will become a point where we can invite guests in for 10, 20-minute slots, split the screen, and people can share some of their experiences, their strengths, and their up with other people. You know, we're not 12-step stuff, but we're not. But we do. Our program is on spiritual principles, not religious. You know, and community and connection. You know, let's get this community going. We've got, like, say, we're coming to 23,000 people, followers worldwide. We've got like 3,200 in the private group. Let's keep inviting people. Let's keep jumping on these live feeds. I'm becoming more confident. You know, I feel like that some pressure has been lifted for me, because I felt it was intense for me. You know, at one bit I thought, is this any good for my recovery? Because I have to look at the life I'm living today. I have to look at what's good for me, what is good for my recovery, and what's feeding and good for my recovery, or what's feeding my addiction, and what can add or contribute to making me come well again. And I have to weigh this up, and I've made a decision that this is all right. You know what I mean? We're helping a lot of people. The proof's in the pudding. The feedback we're getting coming back from what we're doing is positive. I'm sure over time there will be some haters out there. There probably still is. Well, you know what I mean? We'll have to pray for you, won't we? You know what I mean? That's what we will do. You know, come and get involved. Even people who are, you just keep listening. You know, you will over time hear something, or hopefully quicker, that's going to help you and bring you into recovery. Or any questions? We've got lots of lovely people watching.
We've got lots of people watching. Mark saying, just keep up the good work, Mick. Kathleen saying, thank you for those words, they went straight to her heart. So many people just watching and enjoying.
Good stuff. And remember, this is not me. You know, Kickback came from an idea. You know, we've had lots of people help us along the way, which we're truly grateful for. We are now this registered charity that's got a management team, that's got trustees. We've got 7 great trustees that rein me in at times, support me, help me in making decisions sometimes where Jack the Lad kind of decisions don't wash in this. That's all got to go. That old life, that old behaviour, you know, has got to go. You know, it's got to be professional now. It's got to be doing this, making decisions for the greater good. You know, sometimes I'm at conflict with myself, you know, but I've got to let that stuff go and move forward, you know, into this recovery career that I'm living. And I can't do this on my own. I need people like Kathleen, Jill Jones, good afternoon, John Alexander. I'm so grateful for this group. Had a bad day yesterday, which happens every time I hand my son back to the toxic ex. Would be good to meet some others this evening if anyone's free to watch the Zoom later. Yeah, brilliant, John. And it's good to have you on board. John's 5 or 6 weeks he's been here. Yeah, and I get that, John. I you know, especially around the son stuff. My dad and myself, going back to when I was in active addiction, you know, the shame, guilt, and that I felt, you know, didn't mean I didn't love my son. You know, I was just powerless over drugs. You know, drugs came first. You know, I did most of my commitments, but you know, there were lots of times where I let people down. You know, today is totally different. This life I've got, this blessing of recovery. I went to talk to my son yesterday. He's coming up to his 18th birthday next week. We're discussing, I want to kind of buy him a watch for his 18th birthday, which that gives me good feelings. You know what I mean? It's that I'm not wanting to keep all my money for myself, to score and to use on other stuff. Today I don't need a lot to live. You know what I mean? I get great pleasure. And I'm going to get great pleasure about buying my son a watch for his 18th birthday. You know what I mean? And that's the blessings of recovery. And that's what everybody can have a bit of that. You know what I've got? Change is possible. What do you change? You change everything. And you can do that by, if it's not Kickback Recovery, and I'll say this and I repeat myself, go and see your GP. Go and see, get yourself an appointment with an NHS drug worker. If you're in Sheffield City Centre, I can help you do that. Get in touch with me, and I'll help set your appointment up. If you're a bit nervous about it, you know, I felt it. You know, I finally put the courage up to go and talk to my GP, and it was one of the best things I ever did. You know, I let go of all that fear, that shame, embarrassment, and what they're going to put on my medical records. Anybody can look at my medical record. I'm not bothered with my medical record. I am proud to be who I am today, and that's living a life and not using. Yes, Sally.
Louise says, addiction is nothing to be ashamed of. The help is out there, and going and getting that help is the first step.
That's it, guys, and that's what we're going to do. You know what I mean? Just let go of what will people think, you know, what they're going to think. This is life or death stuff. If we're holding on to stuff, thinking, I'm worried about what bloody she finds out, and at number 25 down the road or so, that stuff is going to kill you. It's going to keep you sick. You've got to let go of that. Not go out there like I'm doing, shouting it from the rooftops, but you've got to make that decision and think, right, this is life or death stuff. Just keeping secrets keep you unwell. You know, keeping secrets could end up killing you. People use on secrets because they're keeping these secrets, they manifest these secrets, these feelings, these stuff gets too big. So they act out in numbing it with substances to temporarily numb it and change the way you feel, but you still come around eventually, and you've still got that secret. I'm not saying go out there and tell the world everything, but you know, it's coming to Kickback or any other fellowship or any other group is a safe place where you can talk about what's going on. You get yourself a sponsor, get yourself a recovery buddy, find somebody you trust. You know what I mean? Take your time and choose the right person. You know, when you've got that right person, like I've got good people around me, I can sit and talk to people about anything. You know what I mean? I don't have to go to the meeting and share and blubber it all out there, what's happening. You know, but if I've got the right people around me, it could be that for some people, you do need some counselling. For some people, God love them, that you will need to go and speak to a psychiatrist and just let go. There's no shame in that. You know, when I was younger, I used to think about, so what? He or she sees a psychiatrist. Oh, I want to be staying away from them. No. That's anybody who's reaching out and getting. I've got some lovely friends who see psychiatrists and on medication, every medication, and they're some of the most loveliest people in the world. You know what I mean? People are sat there, they're uneducated, they're judging people. What? Because they're on medication. Because what? They've got bipolar. Because what? They've got some other mental health issue. You know, who are they to judge? Who is anybody to judge? You know, there's some great people out there with. You know, I met some lovely people. You know, it don't matter if you're on medication, it don't matter whether you've seen a psychiatrist or you have to go and see a doctor every week or whatever. Lovely people. The people who are judging and have thoughts around that and negative thoughts and that, well, you need to be having a word with yourself. Yeah? Anybody else? Question?
Sharon would like to know, how do you get a sponsor or a recovery buddy?
Right, so Kickback, we don't really do sponsors. If whatever, whether it is alcohol or something, maybe consider going to AA. Sharon, you are welcome to stay with us. But if you want to sponsor, you get involved with AA or maybe CA or NA, you know, or any other anonymous fellowship. You go there, go to your meetings. After sometimes you might like how a certain person speaks, how they live their recovery. And you might want to ask that person, would you like to be my sponsor? You know what I mean? But just be mindful that sometimes people won't say yes. Some people will say no. But don't take that personal. Don't let that knock you back. Sometimes people are saying no because they might have a couple of sponsees where they are already sponsoring 2 or 3 people. They might be that busy in their life. They might not feel in a place where they could sponsor you properly. You know what I mean? So just don't take that to heart. And then just ask the next person. At the Kickback, how we do it, we do recovery buddies. So you'd ask somebody to be a recovery buddy. And this preferably go for a female, same sex, you know, so we don't get any relationships kind of blossoming, which things like that does happen. But you know, let's keep things simple. Find yourself a female. You like how they speak. You know, you like how they've got some clean time, and then just ask them. You know, anybody else? Now, how long have we been doing?
We've been going just over half an hour.
Rightio, so half an hour, yeah. So, welcome everybody, anybody who's just jumped on, welcome to Kickback Recovery. So today we're just kind of winging it, as normal, we're talking about whatever, guys, whatever. Does anybody want to ask anything, or you know, what's going on for them, or share what's going on for them, and we can bounce it around a bit. Let's enjoy this, guys. We've got, like I said, 30 minutes left. You know, whatever you're doing, whatever you're not doing, spend a bit of time with us at Kickback. You know, this is connection. Whether you're sat at home, whether it's mental health playing up or you're obsessing about something or whatever, this is 20, 30 minutes out of that. You know, like escape into this stuff. Sally?
Julie's put that she thanks God every night for giving her the strength not to drink. She's very grateful to be part of the Kickback Recovery family, and thank you all for helping her to do something that she could never do on her own. And then Louise has just put, she's been to psychologists and she suffers from mental health, depression, etc. And she's not ashamed of it. She's on heavy medication, but there's no shame.
Yeah, well done, Louise. And Gilly, good stuff. Gilly's been coming for quite a bit now, and Gilly's doing really, really well. And Gilly's how much has Gilly gone through over the last few months. You know, obviously we won't go into it, but you know, you're a soldier, Gilly. You know, well done. You give me inspiration. Clem Thompson's back watching. Anybody else? What we're going to talk about? So let's just go on to this then, this reading what we're doing. So we got on to, right, we got to, okay, so we're talking about powerlessness, just a reading that I'm just got outside of me. We borrowed from the NA Step Working Guide. You know, it's nothing to do with kickback recovery, this literature stuff. So we do use bits of 12-step literature at times. So we mentioned earlier that we are powerless when the driving force in our life is beyond our control. We just talked about that stuff, innit? It's massive, it's powerful. We know we become powerless, we've lost the choice. We cannot moderate or control our drug use or other compulsive behaviours. And we talk about drug use, we talk about other compulsive behaviours. We've all done it with bits of shopping, people, you know, we compelled at times to pick that phone up and ring that person, start off relationships again that aren't that healthy for us. You know, we all do it and we end up back in it again. So even when they are causing us to lose the things that matter the most to us. So with the drug stuff we touched on, we're using, when we're using, we're losing, yeah? So some stuff for me, you know, when I were really lost in addiction, when I were powerless, when my life was unmanageable, when I had lost the choice, you know, drugs had to come first all the time, and I couldn't hold the relationship together. You know, I look back and I am sorry to any past relationships I had and girlfriends and stuff in the past where, you know, I promised and I meant it when I said it that I'm not going to do it again, like we all have. You know, I'm not going to use anymore, or we've done it even around food. I'm not going to eat them cakes no more. You know, I'm not going to have that relationship with that certain person no more. They're no good for me. And we mean it when we're saying it, and then in a couple of days we're back at it again, whether we're sniffing again or injecting again or ringing that person up again or having that food again that we said we weren't going to do again. So in that kind of stuff, for me, I did lose things. I lost relationships. I had a lovely family. You know, I had a lovely home. I had a lovely partner and a son. And they, at that time, I'm going to be really honest, they got in the way of my using. You know, I didn't lose them. I just give them away. You know, I went, there you are. You know, just anything that got in the way of me using had to go. You know, somebody's saying to me, listen, you've been doing this for 2-3 nights now. I'm not having it. You've been doing this and you're not doing, you know, anybody who kind of, this voice or voices in my head, we got in my head, had to go. You know, I wanted that freedom, which I thought was freedom to use drugs, mainly drugs, even though alcohol is a drug. But, you know, for me, Class A stuff, when and where I wanted to use it. Anybody going away of that had to go. And I talk about freedom, really, it weren't freedom. And living like that, I became enslaved to something. I became enslaved to drugs. They ruined and run my life. The choice had gone out. I was powerless. Sally?
Alison would like to know, how do you get into the right mindset to go into rehab?
Right. First of all, Alison, I'll say it again, you're so blessed to have an opportunity to go into rehab. Yeah, I'm not here to like pull you down. I'm not doing that. I'm here to like give you a kick up your backside a bit. That you have an opportunity to go in rehab and that. Yeah, some people will never get this. You know, you've got it's all set up. It's all ready to go. You're blessed. Yeah, you can't cock this opportunity up. You know, but you do have to be ready. You know, what you've got to remember is, and I'm going to give it to you, Alison, is that this is a one-off. Probably, well. It's an opportunity you've got. You don't want to mess it up. You know, like I said, there's people out there who really want opportunities like that. And also, we talked about the funding stuff. So there's so much funding for people like yourself. You know, you've got to just wake up and think, you know, somebody else could have had that opportunity. You know, really, really geared up. I'm not saying you don't want this opportunity, because I know you do. But you've just got to think as well that if you're going in there, you're not ready for it. And if you're not ready for it and you're not in the right mindset and you know you're not ready for it, then I give that opportunity up to somebody else. You know, I give somebody who's really, really ready for it. Because if you're not ready for it, and I've done it with things, I've been to meetings before, I've sat down and worked on myself, PSI stuff with drug services, Sheffield Drug Services, and I weren't really ready. I would go in because my girlfriend had kind of suggested it to go, and I did it to people please. You know, I could leave there and say, yeah, I've done my hour, it were all right, it were this and that. By say if it were on a Thursday, by Saturday night, I'd be using again. You know, so, because I weren't ready. You know, that somebody else could have had that hour slot, you know, that were you know, it's life or death stuff, I keep mentioning it. It's people who are so desperate who'll do anything. When I was in rehab once, I'd just gone in there and there were a lady who shared some of her stories. She told me about, I learned about the gift of desperation. That is a gift, that is a blessing. When we become that desperate, and this girl shared that this is how desperate she was to get well. She'd self-harmed for years, she drank, she'd used, she's injected, she'd cut herself, and such a lovely, lovely lady she was. She was very poorly. But she said, this is how desperate, if somebody would have said to her, go in that corner and do an headstand for 2 hours, she would have done that. She would have done anything because that's how desperate she was to get into a rehab or get into recovery. She would have done anything. And you've got to kind of have that mindset. If you're thinking, we don't want to be wasting people's time. We don't want to be like wasting funding, because it's funding, you know what I mean? It's services and that, the money's tight, you know. They've chose you because, and I even said that, you know, when you share, when you talk, you want it, Alison, but you've got to really, 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 really want it, Alison, yeah? And I'm saying that in the nicest possible way. Yeah, don't fall out with me. Next person.
Alison said that she is 100% ready. Sharon reiterating what you're saying, that she would literally do anything just to get one chance after rehab. Claire, she's saying it's a day at a time and being desperate is the gift.
Yes.
And Rebecca Shaw, she's just saying that you're so honest, and she's really struggling with a lot of the things that you've been saying and can relate to them.
Yeah. Nice one, Rebecca. And Alison and Claire and yeah. Alison, get on tonight then. We want to see you at Zoom meeting, 5:30, yeah? Get sharing. Anybody else, any little questions? No, so I'm going to carry on with this little bit of reading. So yeah, so we talk about, where were we? All right, so we lose the things that I've just shared about. I didn't lose them, I give them away, yeah? So I lost the things that really matter to me most. The people I loved, family, just give it away, you know. I look back and I'm full, it hurts. Yeah. We cannot stop. Can't stop using. Can't stop using, you know what I mean? All what I want to do is use. I can't stop using, yeah? Even when to continue will surely result in irreparable physical damage. You know, we damage yourself physically and that. You know, the physical damage we cause on ourselves, yeah, the mental damage, yeah, the spiritual damage, yeah. We find ourselves doing things that we would never do if it weren't for an addiction. You know, some people have sold their bodies. They wouldn't do that if they weren't using drugs. Thank you. You know, some people have done that, haven't they? Some people do lots of things, sell drugs. I want it now, so I've done whatever I've done to get that. I look back, I cringe. You know, it's cringeable, you know, some of the stuff I've done. Some of the stuff even in early recovery, you know, where I weren't working my boundaries properly and I were off in, I were off out, you know, with that attitude. Obviously I relapsed, you know, and I were back at it, and then we talk about this head full of recovery and a body full of drugs don't mix. Even that spoiled me using, because I'd got all this recovery stuff going off. Got all this like information, I've got all this knowledge, but not enough to keep me clean. But it did affect my using. You know, using drugs was spoiled because I had this conscience, yeah. We may even decide that we don't want to use, that we're going to use, and realise that we're simply going to stop, yeah. Yeah, I just got to that. Even when I wanted to stop, everything else I'd succeeded that I wanted to do in life, you know, most things. I'd find a way and means to get what I wanted. And I was proud of that. I thought, yeah, I can pull it off, I can pull most things off. What I couldn't pull off were getting clean. You know, I thought when I was ready, I mentioned earlier, if you go back to people I've just jumped on higher, but I mentioned earlier about when I had a cheeky afternoon party for one with some drugs, and I was bent over, just put a line up my nose, and I thought, you got a problem. But I just kind of kid myself and said, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. When it came to crossing that bridge, when it came to thinking, right, you know, I'm really, really unwell, and now I want to get well. Actually getting well and getting clean were one of the hardest things I've ever done. The hardest thing, because it's not as easy as what people think. Well, people know that anyway. You know, it's one of the hardest things. You know, and I fell short. I relapsed. I blipped. I lapsed quite often. You know, and it took a lot more pain. And I was blessed with the gift of desperation, where I just had enough. Yeah. Any questions? Anybody on there? No? So, right, what time are we on?
23 minutes.
23 minutes. So, I think if there's not much happening, we're going to wrap it up. Yeah? Because we've got a Zoom meeting tonight. So, people are watching. If you want to jump on for some connection tonight, 5:30 p.m. On Kickback Zoom meeting. All ID numbers on there, all the information. We've got a Kickback Recovery Closed members group that you can join. All the details are on there. Any more questions? Anybody got a question before we go? Next live will be tomorrow. It's just red hot, innit, to be honest. Just sat here sweating and a bit uncomfortable. So, right, is that it? Should we say bye-bye to everyone? Okay, so keep supporting us in what we're doing. Please invite people to like our page, to follow us. It helps us. Keep watching what we're doing, especially around the recovery education, which will be back on from next Thursday, which will be 5:30 live recovery education, and 2 o'clock every Friday afternoon, but not this week because we are isolating. Yeah. So I just want to say thank you, Acacia. Oh, lovely to see you. Yeah, we'll be back at college soon, hopefully, doing what we're doing. But yeah, thanks for everybody for supporting us. Just want to say bye-bye. Take care. Bye.